Hey, welcome to the Happy to Speak podcast. I hope you guys are doing great. Today, our topic is chasing PRs and why you should do it. So, PRs, personal records, are different elements of your life where you do something and you hit a new high on something that maybe you haven't done before. An example, this would be like running a marathon. Let's say you're a marathon runner and you want to run a marathon in under 5 hours and you did it in 4 hours and 59 minutes. That would be a PR, it's a personal record. So the reason this came up today, and sorry if I'm out of breath, I just got out of the gym, but that's why I'm recording this right now. So the reason this came up today is I was thinking about it today. I was working out today at the gym. I took an 11:30 class at our gym, and I ended up hitting a PR on my deadlift. I actually lifted 240 pounds on my deadlift, which for me is a freaking miracle that I was able to get that much. For many people I know, 240 pounds is just an insanely light weight and probably wouldn't even be their warm-up weight. And then other people might not lift at all. It might be like, wow, that seems like a lot of weight. So it doesn't matter, not continuum of how heavy that actually was. But the important thing is it's a PR for me. So when I did it, I was working out and I just kept building and just going heavier and doing more and more weight. And it felt pretty good. Felt really good. And I just ended up getting more than I expected. To be fair, I was not super prepared for this. I didn't have a plan of attack when I came in. I just felt really good when I came in. My mind recently has been on a very good friend of mine who's in the hospital and just sending all kinds of love and prayers and hopes out to him. So my mind was completely preoccupied when I was working out today. But I just kept building it up and going. And eventually I looked down at the bar and I was like, wow, this is really close to what my PR is. So I put more weight on there and then ended up hitting it, which I was super happy about. And so the lesson to me, which I think is a lesson that we can all learn from as it relates to this, is like a lot of times we all have a lot more strength and power than we think we do. And it's definitely a little boost of confidence to know that, hey, you're actually more powerful than you think and you have a lot more strength than you think you do. And sometimes you don't need to prep, which in many ways goes against a lot of things that I talk about in this podcast and on TikTok and everywhere else, because I'm a big fan of preparation, but sometimes you just don't need to. Sometimes you can just power through stuff. And I think the other lesson for me on this was the power of streaks and the power of when you're feeling confident to keep going. So this is something I've talked about in the past, but when I wrote my last book, I would go to this coffee shop in Encinitas. It was called E Street Cafe. And I would get a double espresso and I would just start writing. And I would just keep writing. And if I felt like the words were really flowing out of me, I would stay there. And I would stay there for 3-4 hours at a time. Same thing at night. I remember sometimes I would be writing at night, everyone would be asleep, and I would start writing at 11:30. If I got on a good streak, I didn't get up from the desk and go to bed. I just kept going. I'm a big believer in appreciating streaks when they happen and when they are happening to really honor them and to keep going. So my message here, my lesson today was like, when you're feeling really confident and you're on this great streak, just keep going. The worst thing you can do is stop, in my opinion. And then the other thing is to think about, one other lesson to me today was like really probably chase PRs a little bit more regularly than I do. I don't chase them that often. It was a good message to me. We really should, as humans, chase as many PRs as we possibly can, because the opportunities in life to PR are endless, right? And so for me today, it was deadlifting, which is basically putting weight on a bar and lifting it up. Right? For you or for someone else, it might be answering a question out loud in a group setting. It might be super anxious to do that, and then you do it. And maybe that's a PR for you. It's something you haven't done before. Maybe it's speaking in front of a group. Maybe it's going to ask out that person you really wanted to ask out. These are all moments of PRs where you have the ability to stretch yourself and go further and farther than you have before. And what I do want to mention is that when you are chasing PRs and you are pushing yourself, the chances that you're going to completely f up and fall on your face, either figuratively or literally, go up dramatically, right? Because you are challenging yourself and you're pushing yourself. And really, that's okay. I don't think you can chase PRs without being willing to take that risk. It's entirely possible. Today, I could have fallen on my ass when I tried to lift that barbell. Believe me, there's been plenty of other times where I've tried to PR and I failed miserably. I do think that there's growth in the effort. So whether you're successful or not, you do experience a lot of growth in there. And because you're pushing yourself, and then regardless of regardless of what happens, you are growing, which is pretty cool. And one other thing I want to mention about PRs is that they are completely dependent and only applicable to you. So it does not matter what your friends do. Do not get stuck in self-judgment or imposter syndrome or whatever when you see somebody else doing something that might be more difficult for you. So as an example, I PR 240 pounds today for my friend Jeff or my friends Eric or Jake. They probably warm up with that weight and do significantly more than that. But I try not to compare myself to them because my life is a very unique life to theirs, just like each one of their lives is different and unique to mine. So try not to compare yourself to somebody else. When you're chasing a PR, it is completely dependent on you and your story. It doesn't matter what it is. If it is a PR for you, then it is important. And I don't care if it's something as simple as asking a question in a group setting or volunteering to give a speech first. It doesn't matter what it is. Chasing PRs will ultimately give you confidence and allow you to grow, but most importantly, make sure you're not judging yourself based on what your PR is that you're going for. So here's a very simple way to chase PRs in your life. And the first thing is to make a list. So make a list of all the things, PRs you want to accomplish. It might be, I'm going to speak out in this group. I'm going to present first. When I go to the company happy hour, I'm going to talk to 3 people. I'm going to work out 3 times this week. I'm going to run a marathon in under 5 hours. Doesn't matter what it is. Make a list. Once you've made that list, check that list twice, just like Santa. Check that list twice and take out anything that really doesn't really fire you up. So like for me, if I'm making a list and I say, hey, I want to run a marathon in under 5 hours, that's really not going to fire me up because A, I don't really enjoy running marathons anymore. And I don't even know if I could run one under 5 hours at this point in my life. Maybe I could, who knows? So that one's, to me, is not going to be one that would make the list. So for you, make the list, check it twice, make sure that these are actually things that you want to achieve. And then once you've done that and you've got 5 or 6 things on there, add a deadline. So add a deadline. Hey, I want to do my first thing, my first PR in the next 12 months, next 3 months, next 90 days, 30 days, whatever it is. And then once you've put a deadline on each one of those things, determine what success looks like for you. So if you say, I want to speak out in a meeting, does that mean you want to present for more than 5 minutes? Or does that mean you just want to answer a question that someone says? So determine what success looks like for you. And then you can have, you'll start building a list of things that you've accomplished and that you've been successful at, which we'll talk about again when we talk about a highlight reel. But these will be things that will then work to continue to improve your confidence no matter what you do. So again, chasing PRs, something that's super important. I hope you guys have been enjoying the most recent topics. If you have any ideas or any questions at all, please always feel free to email me at jim@happytospeak.com, jim@happytospeak.com. And I thank you so much for the emails and comments. You guys are the best, absolute best. Thank you. Talk to you soon.